I am once again in a part or area of the woods where man or nature has taken down a lot of trees in the last year or so. So I'm sure we can find some good pieces here to chop up and work with, trying out the American Tomahawk Company Model 2. This is the work of an axe, of course, but there's also been a lot of work by strong wind in these specific parts of the woods. There are fallen trees pretty much, well, everywhere, in every direction you look at, you will see different sized trees. I was thinking about taking this tree down using the American Tomahawk Model 2. So I think I'm gonna try to do that first, and after that we can work with some other pieces of woods here, do some branching, delimbing, maybe try to have a go at this long piece of pine. No, not pine. Well, I'm not quite sure what type of wood this is, to be completely honest. But I'm gonna set up the camera and see if we can get this pretty decently sized tree taken down. Semi-dead, but not completely, dried out or rotten yet. There's still some, some strength to it, which makes it a good test, I believe. So let me set up the camera here now. Before we dig into the wood, I want to do two things. I want to comment here on the axe itself here, or the Tomahawk. As you can see, I have modified. I have decided to put some cloth tape here on the handle and some paracord for shock resistance here. It would have been smart, I guess, if I did that, after having, discussed the original handle, the polymer handle. But I'm not gonna remove all this to make a segment like that. And after all, I did make an unboxing video of this one. I don't remember fully the name of that video, like RMJ Tactical featuring American Tomahawk, something like that. So if you want to see it in its original shape, that is the video you should probably start with before taking a look at the actual review here. And I'm not saying I had any issues with the handle the way it was before putting on cloth tape and paracord. Most of you guys know that I do this kind of treatment with most of my axes, not all of them, but 95% of them. And I mean, there is of course a difference between a tree handle or a wooden handle and a well, polymer, whatever material that is. I'm thinking like a really strong synthetic or plastic handle. I'm not quite sure exactly the components used to make this handle, but I bet the handle itself is quite tough and sturdy. But there's never anything wrong with putting some extra protection and going with some extra grip. I did find the handle to be a little bit slick, or that you could it wasn't providing the best of friction. but it wasn't, bad. But I like, having this extra, control when I'm using my tools. Then again, I am using gloves right now, and if I didn't have the cloth tape here, the CCM cloth tape, I would have gotten a better grip with these specific gloves regardless. Now I have a really good grip. But if you want to use the Tomahawk for throwing, I mean, I will not do that, I'm not going to test it. But if you're going to use it as a throwing Tomahawk as well, then you might want to skip the cloth tape, because that will make it a bit more, if you want it to, have a smooth, throwing, then you will want to remove the grip tape. But that is not the case for me personally. So now we have gotten that out of the way. Let's see. The Kydex sheath here is quite good, I'd say. It is easy to remove the axe, and it's easy to put it back in and snap it. The retention is overall, I mean, it's not going anywhere unless you want it to. And I use this technique to get it off. I have not yet tried this axe out in any way. This is the way it is from the factory of sorts, with its factory edge. And that is the next part. The first part was, the dressing of the axe. The second part is that we should take a look at the factory sharpness before we start whacking at different types of wood and tree. So let's do that by slicing some magazine paper and some printing paper. We can start with the printing paper. Let's see. And I mean, how sharp should an axe be? How sharp should a tomahawk be? I mean, it depends a little bit on what you are going to put it through and how you want to use it. I do like my axes to be quite sharp. I mean, they don't have to be hair-popping sharp. Most of them are, but they don't have to be that. I mean, you have to keep a balance between sharpness, fine sharpness, and toughness of the edge. You don't want a razor-sharp axe that will chip out on you. But even a chipped out axe will still be able to, split wood and chop trees, etc. But, I want to keep it, sharp and tough. And that is usually not a big problem for me personally. But slicing paper, I do think that I expect this one to slice paper out of the box. That I've got to say. So let's see, it's not too windy for once, so but still not. Papers are a little bit damp here because it was raining not long ago. Maybe if I can. I'm gonna take a new piece of paper here, and well, they're all pretty much equally damp, so I mean, it is the way it is. So let's see if we can do this now. So I mean, I would say that it is sharp. The paper is a bit damp, but definitely, paper slicing sharp. Let's go with the magazine paper next. Let's just take a random piece like this. I realized I could have done this a bit easier, you know, if I was sitting at the table or something and, you know, having it all, you know, laid out. It would have been slightly easier. This is making it more difficult to actually test the sharpness, because I have to balance everything. But this was a little bit easier to balance than the printing paper. But as you guys can see, the axe is definitely sharp. So most definitely a sharp axe. It would have been easier to say just how sharp it is if I was at home. I could have done some more, you know, additional testing to it. But yeah, I would say it is actually. It is quite sharp. Definitely, you know, sharp enough for me right now. So now that we have gotten the sharpness out of the way and the handle, you can see here the contouring underneath the grip tape here, the CCM cloth tape, which does provide a bit of extra friction, but this is just, you know, making it even more so. So that is that's it for now. Time to actually put this one to some good use. I know that's what you're all waiting for, so no need to prolong this anymore. So here is the tree that we're gonna take down. This is a not super soft wood, I would say, like not your typical American hardwood either, but it's somewhere in between. And the size is, you know, it's not massive in size, but it's still something that you do. I mean, you wouldn't want to take this down with, well, you could take it down with a knife, but this is like the size where I would prefer an axe or a hatchet, most definitely. So let's try to, we can do some debranching here first. There we go, perhaps. And now we can go for the tree right here, perhaps. Hope it's visible in the camera. So. It's a bit damp here as well now. But we're getting some, you know, decent chunks out here of the tree. See, there's a bit of a knot here. Could have picked, you know, a better spot. See if you can get it out. See here? Or perhaps you do not see, but yeah. But we're taking those chunks out here, definitely. I would say that it's pretty, you know, chopping like this. There's some pretty good shock resistance in the handle. It's not hurting my hand, it's not hurting my arm. Feels, you know, surprisingly well for a non-wood handle hatchet or axe. I am a bit, you know, traditional in style. I do prefer my axes and hatchets with wood handles, but I'm not afraid to try something else for that matter. Try to get some chunks out here. Sure how well it can be seen in the camera, but yeah, semi well perhaps. Guess we could try to move the camera with the tripod and everything here, just to get sort of a close-up going here. So this is where we are currently at after a couple of chops here. So we are working our way in there, most definitely. So let's set the camera up again here. Perhaps at a new angle now. Doesn't really matter too much. I was gonna try to get some cuts here from the back part. Some decently sized chunks out there. There we go. Not the best camera angle now, so let's just put the tripod like over there for now. So, now we are actually starting to close in there. Still no risk of it falling. We're definitely working our way in here. So, go with one more chop here perhaps. I think I'm gonna leave it like that, and we're gonna take a look at the camera. Actually, I'm gonna unscrew it here from the tripod. Let's see. So this is where we are currently at. You can, in other words, say that it is only a few chops away from being ready to be taken down. It is quite tall. So I'm gonna put the camera back on the tripod and then we're gonna fell the tree. So, let's take the tree down now. So, smooth landing, I'd say. No large bang from taking this one down. Because it just landed here, but I do want to get it, completely fallen down, because I don't want any accidents happening. If anyone should get into this area sometime. There we go. So some first thoughts here. Taking down the tree using this axe. First things first, do we have any damage to the edge? Let's see. The edge is untouched. No damage to the edge. Working with this axe was actually more pleasant than I thought it would be. But that might say more about, you know, my initial thoughts about using this hatchet. I think it did a really good job. It bit down deep. It was easy to work with. It was surprisingly ergonomical for, you know, not having any, you know, real. I like, you know, curved axe handles, wood handles, with some contours and swing stuff like that going on. And this is pretty much just, you know, yeah, it's kind of clean, straightforward. But in my opinion, it was working really nice. Also, I mean, this is not a, you know, a one solid piece hawk or axe like, for example, my RMJ Raven 3V or my Eagle Talon. I haven't put them to real use yet, but I imagine, you know, the shock resistance will be perhaps not the most, you know, pleasant one. But here, you know, this really worked well. I have no, you know, it doesn't hurt the least in my hand, nor in my arm, anything like that. I'm not very exhausted. It just, you know, yeah, it did a surprisingly good job. And it feels strange, you know, saying that about this hatchet, because like I said, I am really a traditional conservative person when it comes to my axes. You know, I like the more traditional designs in every way and sense, from head to handle. But I also have to be, you know, transparent and honest. This one did a good job. It really did. So, well, it's looking good so far. Let's see what we can come up with next, shall we? Here is a tree that we just took down. So let's see if we can chop off another piece of it, perhaps. Let's see, let's place the camera there. So now we're going to use a bit of a different technique here than what we used when we took the tree down. And I hope it is secure enough so that it doesn't, you know, mow away. But that is something we will find out when we start working here with it. So let's see what we can do, and hopefully it's going to be visible in the camera as well. And I mean, how hard you want to use your tomahawks, that's going to be, you know, individual. The work I'm doing right now, taking the tree down and chopping this one in half, I think that is considered, or should be considered, you know, semi-tough work for a tomahawk like this. Just my opinion, but you know, yeah. We all have our different, you know, preferences and styles and what we consider to be hard work or not. So, thoughts so far is that I like working with this tomahawk. And I kinda hate saying that, because I love my traditional axes. They would still do this quite well. Better, perhaps, but this tomahawk is doing a really nice job, and the ergos, man, it is, well, it is nice trying new tools out, but I'm still gonna be conservative and traditional. You know what, maybe we should actually take the camera and show this a bit more in detail, because this is actually, I mean, this is some good stuff. We need to take a closer look here. Gonna unscrew the camera. quick here. So, what do we have going on here? Or seen from my perspective, perhaps. These are good cuts. Smooth, clean. These are a bit more... Well, it's not about the hatchet, it's about me that it looks like that. But overall, you can see we are really working our way through here. Damn! You are full of surprises, Model 2. Then again, it's pretty clear that this design was much more intended for this, this kind of woodwork, or, more, just a more versatile design than the very tactical looking Model 1. But I'm gonna place this camera back on the tripod, and then we can finish chopping this piece of tree in half. So let's do this now. We're not far away. Look at those chunks. Can we do it in one strike? Nah, it's a bit too thick still, but... What's up with my accuracy now? Well... Decent sized timber. Want to build a shelter with this? Yeah, perhaps you want to. Let's once again take a look here at the edge here. There is no damage to the edge. And the black Cerakoting, or whatever this coating is, there's no sign of it starting to wear off. And that surprises me a bit, because there usually is a bit of wear showing after some chopping like this, but not in this case. So that's a big plus, or not a big plus, but I mean it's nice, right? Nice to have the coating still attached to the head. So we took down the tree, we split it in half. Now we're gonna do something more, but I need to think a bit just about what we're gonna do. Give me a minute, or perhaps just a few seconds, and we will be right back. Since the Tomahawk performed so well, I have this massive piece here. This is from an earlier axe project. The tree is still here and it is hard. So since this axe, or Tomahawk, is getting a little bit cocky, I want to see what it can do to this piece. And this is probably what I would consider to be a bit overkill for a random hatchet. Then again, perhaps this is not really a random hatchet. Is this going to be visible in the camera? I'm gonna face myself like this. So yeah, let's see if we can split this thing in half. Shall we? Now I'm actually going with a two-hand grip to get some extra leverage and force. And now I alternate to one hand. semi, you know, decent chunks for getting out. But this is kind of massive and semi hard actually. Take some chunks on the side here away. Same here. So I'm not super tired, not super exhausted. Still feels kind of good. I mean, we've done a bit of consecutive chopping now. But like I said, this is a big piece of wood and it's kind of hard. But we are getting there. Should we call this a strength test of the axe or a chopping test? It's a pretty valid question actually. I think this little piece here messed up my paracord a little bit. See if we can go down a bit like this. Slowly but surely we are working our way through this piece. Try a different placement here now. Yeah. Maybe we should actually take the camera and take a look here. So this is where we are currently at. So as you can see, this is a big piece of wood. But this should be not too hard to get through now. Actually, I've messed up my paracord a bit here. Might have to look into that when I get back home. No big issue. So let's just get through this piece now here, shall we? I would have preferred to stand on the other side and cutting away here, but it is not, you know, the best, well, not the worst either, but definitely not the absolute best position. See those bites? Yeah. So this is a piece of lumber, right? Yeah, let's take some final looks here as well. So, standing on the other side, doing the final cuts here, made a world of a difference. You can see the chunks here as well. So I thought this was going to be a bit of a challenge. Oh, some mud here. But it turned out that this was not too hard of work for the axe. And I'm also surprised at myself. I'm not too exhausted, and usually when, cutting through pieces like this and the ones we did just, moments ago, you tend to get kind of exhausted, but this worked just fine. I will take my bottle of water now for a short break, but that's also to be able to come up with new ideas for what we can do. But I don't think we're gonna do anything, tougher than what we have done, because this is a small, relatively light Tomahawk. And I think that, having proven that it can do these sorts of things, now we can focus on some other tasks like branching, delimbing, splitting wood, and perhaps making some feathers, etc. But if you wanna, chop up trees, this one will be up for the job. There's no doubt about that. It's quite wet outside. I've got a couple of sticks here so we can try to make some feathers. But it's all kind of damp. But let's see what we can do regardless. So. This is obviously not going the way I was planning and hoping, but yeah, it is what it is. Maybe not the best piece of wood to work with. I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, cute curls, but not quite what I had in mind. That's for sure. Bites kind of deep. Maybe we should actually go with another piece of tree or wood than what I'm going with here now. Oops, that was actually some decent curls. I could have, if we had like, well, I don't know, 20 of those, could have actually worked. So, I don't know. Is it pieces of wood, or is it that it's wet, or is it the angle of the axe? I don't know. Oh. I think it's due to the wood and the fact that it's quite wet as well. Yeah, you would definitely need more than that to get a fire going. Well, that's for sure. You know what, let's take a look at what we actually have here. Let's see, this is where we are currently at. And I mean, these are, I mean, they are functional, but it's so little. And I'm not sure if it is probably due to the quality here of the trees and sticks, etc., and it being really damp and wet. But I really can't say for sure. See if I can find some other pieces as well. I'm a bit confused, not gonna lie. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with some other type of wood here, because this is, I mean, yeah, if you're in no hurry, then sure, if you can get like this times 4, then it will work. But yeah, I'll see if I can find some other pieces of wood here. So let's take this mini twig here, see what we can do with that one, perhaps. If anything, right? That's true. Yeah, we can break it. That's too small. Let's see, we need to find a larger piece of wood that's dry and not too easy to break. So here we have a piece of birch instead that is, well, perhaps dryish or dry enough. I'm not sure really, but yeah. Well, at least we are finally getting somewhere. We have some pieces here now, and we're also getting some curls over here. Well, I mean, yeah, at least we are, like I said, we are getting somewhere. And we're also making a spear point while going for the feathers, right? Damn, my feathers, my fire. Oh, and I wanted to have like a mountain here of feathers, but yeah, I don't know. Let's see, try to get some more. Okay, so I mean this is at least, well, at least it is sufficient. You can start a fire at least with what we have here, pretty much. Let's take a closer look here. So this will work. It's probably even sufficient for, you know, getting that fire going, I would say. Yeah, I think this is enough feathering now. It was not, you know, the smoothest process. Then again, I might have picked pieces that were not really the best for making feathers. I do know how to make feathers, believe me. So it's not really an issue about that, but you know, it is what it is. Feathers were made. Let's do some carving next, I think. That will be a lot easier. So, feather sticking, well, it was doable with the right pieces of wood. Now it's time to do some carving, like spear and yeah, spearheads and stuff like that. So let's, yeah, maybe we can try with this one first. Let's remove this piece here. Clean cut, right through. And then we can try to work this piece of wood here. Is this even visible in the camera? I'm not quite sure. Hopefully. So now we have a bit of a spearish-like tip here. Quick, easy work. Let's try this harder piece of wood now instead. Making the same kind of spear shape thing. That'll be a fine tip here. Yep. Let's see. Pretty nice tip, right? So carving is easy using this Tomahawk. Very smooth sailing, I'd say. Do we have another piece of wood we can go with? A larger piece perhaps? Not quite sure. Maybe I can cut a branch of the tree we took down. Let's see, give me a second. One of the few live parts of this tree. Let's move it here. And here. So this is obviously a bit more fresh, as you can see, the green here. Let's see what we can do. Quite pointy. So carving is super easy with this axe. Be it dead pieces of wood or more live trees. It will most definitely carve. It's actually not bad, you know, working with either, you know, from a ergonomical or comfort perspective or aspect. Yeah, now we are really, you know, yeah, super easy to work with like this, definitely. Could we have made feathers from this more fresh piece? Let's make a small attempt here, perhaps. Then again, feathers from fresh wood, you don't have much use for them because they will not burn easily. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I am just doing it regardless. Yeah, what the hell is this? It doesn't matter. Well, anyway, carving is easy. Splitting twigs seems to be easy as well. So, next up, Well, I think we're gonna head back home soon. We're gonna do some splitting, wood splitting, and then I think we're gonna sum up this video. I've had a lot of fun working with this little hatchet or tomahawk, I'm not gonna lie. What does the edge look like right now? Let's take a look at that. Are we in focus? Here we are. So there is no visible damage to the edge whatsoever, and there's no Cerakoting or black coating that has been removed. So that is, the coating does seem to be kind of tough, I have to say that. Very nice indeed. I just remembered that, you know, we did bring some magazine paper with us and some printing paper, and now we have a flat, even surface to place it on. So maybe this is a good time to make a, you know, edge retention test. The video review might not be over yet, but we have been, you know, hacking and whacking at a lot of different types of trees, and I think it is, you know, I mean, why not? Why not do a small edge retention test while we're at it? So let's see here. If we place perhaps the magazine like this on this tree stump, and then I will do my best to I'm gonna remove my gloves. No need for them right now. The paper might be a little bit damp, but should still, you know, do the trick. And I mean, the edge is not, there is no damage to the edge, but sure, it is perhaps a little bit dirty, which could also have an effect, but I want to try this regardless. Like I said, much easier to do these sharpness tests when you have a flat surface to work with. So I would say that the hatchet here is still quite sharp. Well, I think that you guys are sort of getting the point, but we can do one extra page just because. Try to get as much length of the blade as possible here. Yeah, the axe is obviously still sharp. After having done the work we have done, I would have, you know, expected it to be still sharp. Otherwise, I would have felt like the retention would not have been, you know, the absolute best, since we haven't been, you know, whacking into hardwood for several hours. But we have still done a decent amount of chopping and woodwork with it. Next up here, we're going to do a small test here using this increasingly large piece of tree. We're going to see how far we can go on this piece. You know, it's going to increase in size, and how far we can go with just one chop to get through it. So let's get going, shall we? Yeah, well, we are running out of pieces now. So that was not the hardest of trees, so let's see if I can find something a bit more challenging. So finding pieces here that are semi-tough is not that easy, but we'll see how this works out. Should be at least harder, and it starts as a pretty good size already. Well, maybe, you know, I should have taken a harder strike there. I'm gonna go with one more just because I didn't think it was going to be that tough, so maybe yeah, let's talk more action. Okay, 1, 2. Well, semi-clean, but this is definitely a lot harder stuff than that birch piece. Jesus Christ, this is, yeah. What the hell is this tree? This is hard tree. Yeah, let's do this one. Oh shit. Yeah, well, why the heck not? It is for science, right? Damn it. This is... hard tree, right? Well, that gives you a bit of perspective. Yeah. I think we're gonna settle with that for now. Let's get back home. It will be dark in a bit, so split some pieces of wood and get a fire going. Sounds like a plan to me. We are now back in a bit more of a controlled environment compared to the woods. And what we're gonna do here is some splitting of wood. And I will say that I don't think a Tomahawk is, you know, the preferred tool for splitting wood. I mean, it really isn't the main purpose of a Tomahawk, but it should definitely be able to do some splitting of well, different types of pieces of wood in different types of sizes as well. So let's see what we can do here. I've got some maybe they're a bit too large, these pieces that I have in mind. This is a kind of a smaller piece, but still not a small piece, but compared to the other pieces here, this one is a little bit small at least. So let's start with this one, shall we? And I will go one-handed on these. Well, that was more or less completely effortless, I would say. Let's see if we can. Damn. Maybe we can actually get it to balance here. That's the main thing, I think. Yeah, we could actually. So this will be easier. So splitting that into a couple of smaller pieces of wood here was not too much of an issue. But like I stated, the other pieces of wood I have here is like semi-large chunks. I mean, yeah. Let's go with this one perhaps. Kind of a big piece of wood for a not so big hatchet. Let's see. Perhaps go like this. Yeah, for better or worse. Got a good crack going. Split this into yet another piece. Balancing act as well. I can take one more of this. Perhaps one more of that. and then we can make a couple of pieces of this. So now we have turned that piece of wood into several smaller pieces as well. So I think that could perhaps be it in terms of yeah, we have this. I think this one is really we should probably not do this piece because I think it is super hard, but let's do it anyways. Well, what do you know? What do you know, yeah? Not. So we also turned this one into several smaller pieces of wood here. Overall, I will say that the Tomahawk here, it will definitely, you know, split wood. No doubt about it. Would I use it as a dedicated wood splitter? Well, absolutely not. But that wasn't the question. The question was whether or not it would split wood. And it will split wood. We are once again back out in the woods after having been home for a short while to do some splitting. That is the best place to do splitting, where you have the right, well, equipment, but you have the right tree stump to work on and the right pieces of wood to work on. Anyway, I wanted this, you know, final segment, my final conclusions, to be out in the woods. I mean, this has been an outdoor video, and it wouldn't feel right to sit inside talking about this axe and, you know, evaluating the performance for different tasks. But I'm gonna start by saying that I wasn't sure what to think when I ordered this axe, or hatchet, or tomahawk, or, well, whatever you wanna call it. The design was intriguing in some way, but I felt like, you know, the plastic polymer handle and stuff like that, it just didn't feel right. But I was like, I wanna give it a go and you know, see it being outperformed by my other axes and hatches. But as things turned out, it was actually an impressive little piece of plastic. No, I mean, I am patronizing it now a bit, but like I've stated several times in this video, I am a person that like traditional axes and hatches, wood handles, etc. But I have to give credit where credit's due. I mean, this little Tomahawk here did perform really well, and I think that the one thing that probably surprised me the absolute most was the ergos. Sure, I did put my grip tape on, but that's not really what I'm talking about. Even though it did make it, you know, nicer to you know, hold in your hand, and to make it more, you know, a bit more friction so it doesn't, you know, slip out of your hand. But what I'm you know, mainly talking about here is, you know, the general ergos when working with the axe. The shock resistance of the handle, not getting any, you know, bad feelings in your hand, no blisters, no nothing, not in your arm as well. And I could feel like, you know, when I was working hard with this axe, I didn't get, you know, fatigued. I didn't even get, you know, tired really, to be honest. And that is actually quite a good mark or comment. You know, having a tool that is comfortable to work with, that you can work with during, you know, extended periods of time without risking blisters or other, you know, issues with, is of quite significance. I have to say that. And it did work well. I mean, it did bite deep. The only thing that didn't turn out, you know, all that well was the feather sticking part, but that could be due to a few different reasons or you know, yeah, causes. Still, I mean, we did manage to get quite a lot of feathers. I mean, definitely enough to make a fire, and it didn't take, you know, all too long. But could it have been, you know, a smoother ride? Definitely. But carving, it was phenomenal. It was like working with a carving knife. Splitting, no problem whatsoever. Chopping, yeah, chopping down the tree was actually quite easy and effortless. And splitting those large pieces of trees that we did afterwards went really, you know, smooth as well. So I mean, overall it performed really great. I didn't imagine myself sitting here saying that, but you know, I've got to say it the way it is. This axe was, or hawk, or hatchet, it did a great job. Is it going to be my main hatchet out in the woods? Probably not, because I do like traditional hatchets with curved handles, etc. But I'm still gonna bring this one with me a lot more than I originally thought. I mean, it did perform really well, and it is, you know, the axe head is tightly secured. I'm not even quite sure how they fit the axe head to the handle, but it didn't loosen up during any of my tests. It is really, you know, absolutely not loose. So if it can take all that I throw at it today, then it should, you know, withstand most things that most normal people would do with an hatchet. Let's see here, I can see the battery is running out of my camera, so I'm gonna switch the battery and then we're gonna pick up where we left off now. Now we have a fresh battery in the camera, so we can pick up where we left. And I think I was commenting, well, I have already forgot what I was commenting. Perhaps the ergos or overall performance, or the fitting of the head perhaps. We never really took a closer look at the head here, so maybe we can do that now. Well, however they did it right and well. And now that we have it close up here, we can also take a look once again at the edge. There is not a nick to be found in the edge here. It's quite clean and sharp and nice looking. Absolutely. The coating here, I did say that it was impressive that, you know, the coating held up. And while that is true for most part here, we can see that I did clean this axe at home using some ballistic oil and, you know, just some water and stuff. So we can see that there are indeed some markings here, only to be seen perhaps in certain angles. And we can see that the coating is wearing off ever so slight right there at the edge, but it's more visible on this side. So you see this area here. Might be difficult to see, but the coating has started to wear off a little bit. I will still say that the coating was pretty strong and is pretty strong. We have done a lot of work, and this is probably from perhaps from the splitting of the wood or chopping through those really hard pieces that we did. So I mean, the Cerakote, it's not, or Cerakote, or whatever type of coating it is not, you know, indestructible, but it can and it will wear off with time. To me, this is not an issue. This is purely a cosmetic aspect to it, and I have no issues with it, you know, wearing off like that. Now we can see it pretty good. So using this axe hatchet Tomahawk will make the coating wear off a little in time. But I don't think that is a surprise to anyone. I mean, at least it wasn't to me. I'm more surprised of how well the coating stayed on, given what we have done with the axe. So that is it about the coating, the edge, the fitting, etc. We didn't speak too much about the profile here of the head. See, but it is a pretty, it's not too, too thick or anything, not too thin either. I would say this is a pretty, pretty functional, obviously, since we've already used it, profile of the head here of the axe. Great proportions, great blade length. Yeah, overall, just a really nice design. I guess you could say that, whoever designed this hatchet here did their homework and did some thinking, especially if you compare this one to the Model 1, which is a lot more different. The Model 1 is almost a pure tactical Tomahawk, I would call it. With this one, it is very obvious that they wanted it to be a more versatile tool to be used for the tasks we did today, like your typical woodwork tasks, and perhaps a bit of bushcrafting tasks as well. So they obviously wanted to move away from the tactical aspect into a more user-friendly Tomahawk, is my take. I didn't use this one at all for throwing, as a throwing Tomahawk, so I cannot say how it will work for that. But I bet that if you are a skilled Tomahawk thrower, I'm sure it will perform nicely for that as well, but I will not do that. I'm also not sure how well the handle would hold up to that kind of abuse. If you throw the Tomahawk and you miss your target, then I'm not sure how tough this handle really is. Can I recommend this hatchet or Tomahawk? Usually when I make videos, or when I used to make videos, I didn't put out recommendations, or I didn't say go and buy this, go and buy that, etc. But lately I have been ending my videos saying that this is a knife I can recommend, or this is an axe that I can recommend, but think about this or that, or have this in mind. But from my experience with this one, I can recommend it. If you've been looking at this hatchet thinking, well, how will it work in real life? How will it chop? How will it split? How will it carve? Etc. Well, now you know it will do all those things. How will the coating hold up? Well, now you know that as well. How will the edge hold up? So I think I've answered probably a lot of questions that people can have about this model. Like I said, the biggest surprise to me here is actually the ergos of the handle. I wasn't, too sold on it initially, or when I unboxed it and I felt it in my hand, I felt like there is no real, contouring. There are no curves or anything. It's just, well, how will it work? But now we know it works quite nicely. Like I said, I'm probably gonna, I would depend on this. I mean, I would trust this one as much as I trust my wood handle, my best hatches with wood handles, even though I'm not 100% sure how the actual fitting here of the head is done. I feel like it's the way it has held up makes me feel that I can trust this tool. So I will recommend it, but I still like and I still prefer my regular wood-handled hatches. But there's no denying this is a great tool, absolutely. If it's worth the price, yeah, I would say it is. I mean, it is. If this is what you're looking for, if this is what you feel you want, then I think it is indeed worth the price. It is a durable, light, competent tool that should not fail you easily. And it looks, I mean, it looks kind of nice as well. Yeah, I think that's going to be my final thoughts about American Tomahawk Company Model 2. If you like it, if you like what you've seen, then this is a knife, an axe, Tomahawk hatchet that you can depend on. Yeah.